Tommy Shelby's rise from the smoky backrooms of the Garrison Pub to the polished chambers of Parliament is often framed as a story of ambition, brutality, and political cunning. But underneath the mythology lies something more structured and strategic, a masterclass in vertical integration disguised as a gangster saga. To understand his ascent is to see how control, when applied across every level of an industry, becomes a multiplier of both influence and wealth. Told in a tone inspired by the slow-burn, analytical storytelling of magnates media, this essay unpacks how Tommy's model reveals a blueprint not merely for survival, but for empire building. Control the product, control the distribution, control the narrative, and ultimately, control the entire supply chain. His story becomes a study in how one man methodically tightened his grip on each link until the chain itself belonged to him. Tommy begins at the lowest rung of the ladder, not in terms of reputation, but in terms of economic structure. The Garrison Pub is more than a watering hole. It is the front line of retail, the final touchpoint in the relationship between the Shelby Company and its customers. In these cramped rooms filled with smoke and spilled whiskey, Tommy learns the mechanics of demand. He watches workers come in after endless shifts craving escape. He monitors which bottles empty fastest, and he notices how price, environment, and psychology intertwine. While others see a bar, Tommy sees data. Yet he also sees the limitation. Retail margins are thin, vulnerable, and dependent on suppliers who hold the power to raise costs or cut access. The instability of being at the mercy of wholesalers plants the first seed in his understanding that if you want true profit and true control, you cannot operate at the end of the chain. You must own the chain. The horse racing operations that follow are not simply a criminal venture, but Tommy's first step into vertical expansion. Running the betting markets allows him to control both product and distribution. He offers the wages, manages the payouts, and orchestrates the information that influences odds. This is vertical integration through manipulation rather than manufacturing, but the principles are the same. He reduces middlemen, sets his own margins, and ensures the flow of money goes through him at every stage. But even this is just training ground. Tommy is learning on the battlefield what corporate titans learn in boardrooms. Fragmentation kills profit, and fragmentation is solved by consolidation. The real shift begins when Tommy moves into legal industries. The distillery acquisition, for example, stands as one of his most significant moves. Here he is no longer buying alcohol from someone else, he is producing it. Production is the heart of vertical integration, because making the product yourself removes an entire layer of cost and puts creative control directly in your hands. Suddenly, Tommy can determine quality, price, and quantity with precision. More importantly, he is insulated from external disruptions. A supplier going out of business? Irrelevant. Price hikes due to shortages? Not his concern, because he owns the factory. Margin pressure? He sets the margins. The Shelby Company is no longer reacting to market conditions, it is defining them. And with production secured, all Tommy needs is distribution. Distribution is where his genius becomes unmistakable. Tommy doesn't just sell whiskey, he ensures it moves through channels he owns or influences. He supplies the pubs, many of which he effectively controls through intimidation, loyalty, or outright ownership. He distributes through legal deals that give him access to markets previously reserved for established companies. He even uses criminal networks as informal logistics pipelines, a kind of shadow supply chain that moves goods faster, cheaper, and with fewer questions asked than any conventional distributor. What emerges is a closed loop. Whiskey is made in Shelby factories, transported via Shelby routes, sold in Shelby pubs, and the profits flow exclusively back into the Shelby empire. Every stage of the process is designed to eliminate leakage. There is no point in the chain where someone outside the organization is taking a cut. The empire becomes self-sustaining, but vertical integration is not only about goods. It is about power. And this is where Parliament enters the picture. Tommy's transition from gangster to politician is the ultimate evolution of vertical integration because it expands the supply chain beyond economics and into influence. Where once he controlled what people drank, now he shapes the policies that determine how businesses operate. By securing a seat in Parliament, Tommy effectively integrates the regulatory environment into his empire. Legislation, local governance, policing priorities, economic incentives, these become extensions of the Shelby supply chain. He doesn't just operate within the system, he becomes part of the machinery that runs the system. This is the final frontier of integration, where economic power merges with institutional power, giving him the ability to fortify his interests from the inside. Financially, the payoff of such integration is enormous. When a business owns every stage of its operations, it captures value at every level, turning what would be multiple small profits across different companies into one large profit concentrated in a single entity. Tommy's investments multiply in value because each venture feeds the next. His distillery profits rise because he sells directly to his own pubs. His pubs thrive because they offer a superior product at lower cost. His political position ensures these businesses face minimal obstacles and maximum protection. It becomes a flywheel of wealth. The more control he gains, the more profit he generates, and the more profit he generates, the more control he can afford to acquire. However, vertical integration also brings vulnerabilities. When everything is connected, a failure in one area can ripple through the entire structure. Magnate's media often emphasizes how great empires contain the seeds of their own collapse, and Tommy's is no different. His model outpaces his ability to emotionally and morally sustain it. The same centralization that multiplies profit also multiplies risk, legal, political, and personal. But while these cracks eventually widen, they do not diminish the strategic brilliance of the system he builds. Tommy Shelby's journey is ultimately a business lesson wrapped in a gangster narrative. Own the product, own the process, and own the platform through which the product reaches the world. His empire is not luck or bluster, it is architecture. And like any great architect, Tommy understands that true power is not held by the person who stands at the top, but by the one who controls the foundation beneath everyone else's feet.